So the Abbey's slogan since 2004, I believe, has been to create peace in a chaotic world. That came about in 2004. The Abbey was established in 2003. And that following spring, I think it was May, the Friends of Sravasti Abbey, which was the lay group that had formed to help support venerable children to get the Abbey started, we met for a planning session. Michelle Tay from Boise was our facilitator, and she is a longtime strategic planner. And one of the things, our first objectives was to create a mission statement. And that's how the Creating Peace in a Chaotic World came about, which I'll tell the story in a minute. But I was a little bit shocked then this summer when we had a public relations inviting generosity team meeting with our longtime consultant, Laurel, on our messaging and communications. And it came up that people did not relate to this slogan, creating peace in a chaotic world. Several people did not relate to this slogan, creating peace in a chaotic world. Like, I don't get it. It doesn't speak to me. And I was a little bit shocked. Because we've had so much positive feedback over all the years, and there was a suggestion that we should retire it and find something more contemporary or something that spoke to people. So, I've been stewing on that now for some months. And so I wanted to tell the story of where it came from. And then Venerable Children's teaching on Friday night, I brought this straight back to me about why the slogan is what it is. I'm open to change, okay, but I just want to talk about it a little bit. So our first thing was to establish our mission statement, which I don't remember how long it took, but it was pretty clear what the mission was, but to put it in a statement takes time. The groups were working in small groups together. Some of these people were there then. Some of the people here now were there then. And it came up with, this has been tweaked a little bit since then, but the first paragraph, Sravasti Abbey supports a flourishing monastic community where learning and practicing Buddha's teachings on ethics, nonviolence, compassion, and wisdom, and sharing them wildly, cultivates peace in the hearts of individuals and in the world. So emphasis on teachings on ethics, nonviolence, compassion, and wisdom. So that was very nice. It's kind of long, maybe not as mission statements go, but then we were advised that we needed to come up with an elevator statement or an elevator pitch. So that the definition of an elevator pitch is that if you are in a situation where you have just a couple of minutes to make contact with someone, you want to be able to say right away, what's the point? Make a few points, introduce yourself, introduce your cause, make a few points about why that's meaningful. So that, for example, if you're stuck in an elevator that somebody really wanted to talk to, you could, between floors, be able to deliver your message very clearly. So that was a lot harder to come up with. And so people went off in teams and they kind of worked with the words here and the words there. And finally we all came back together, and it was Bob Wilson who came up with this slogan, creating peace in a chaotic world. And most everybody went, wow, that's it. And I went, really? Really? To me, it was a little bit, I don't know, a little bit esoteric. But the more I listened to it, and of course, I'm usually the contrarian on these kinds of votes. It's been my role for 20 some odd years now. This is the one we picked. And I have come to really cherish this slogan, actually, as a very clear depiction of what happens at Sravasti Abbey. So when Venerable Children was speaking Friday night, and speaking about ethical conduct as the very foundation of Buddhist practice, in this time and this day and age and this political climate and this international conflict climate, creating peace in a chaotic world seems very, very relevant, very, very important. And I thought, okay, so how is it? I mean, it's not like I have any solutions to war in the Mideast. I have no solutions to how to end the war in Ukraine, the invasion of Ukraine. I have no solutions about how to secure our elections in the United States. Zero. Personally, I have no ideas. I'm not versed in that. But when I think about what the Abbey has done and continues to do in terms of sharing the Buddha's teachings on ethical conduct and developing love and compassion and wisdom, I think that is contributing to creating peace in a chaotic world, because no one person can solve those things. Nobody. And the more we can learn, and this is what we're training in our own practice, the more we can train to cultivate these qualities of a commitment to non-harm, a commitment to developing love and compassion and wisdom. And the more we can share that and bring people of any walk of life to hear methods to develop those things and bring that into their work world, they're contributing to a climate of peace wherever they can. One of the things she was teaching on from volume 4, Following in the Buddha's Footsteps, and this first paragraph, people who are serious about religious practice differ from those who are not. And that's Buddhist or not, doesn't matter, as long as we're adhering to the fundamental teachings. Accepting that human life has a deeper purpose than sensual enjoyments, wealth, power, social status, and praise gained in this life gives us more capacity to look at than what does make life meaningful. And on that basis, then, studying ethical conduct and studying ways to develop love and compassion starts to really pervade a person's life, their way of being. For Buddhists, we have the luxury, really, of having a long-term view of knowing that we have multiple lives, and so having goals to create fortunate good rebirth, to create the conditions to be able to be free of all suffering altogether, or to develop the capacity to become Buddhists so that we may be able effectively bring that about for other people. This gives us lots of long-term goal to have our start with non-harming as our fundamental ethical basis and have it continue for life after life after life after life. But even you're only looking at this life, if we're only looking at the short term, then the effect that we have on other people's lives and on our own when we're practicing this kind of ethical conduct is immeasurable. I don't think anyone can argue with that. The trick is, not every spiritual or philosophical or psychological system teaches us how to do that in ways that are super accessible for other people, in the way that the Buddha Dharma does. So to be able to teach people that to abandon the 10 destructive actions, for example, or just to have people take the 5 lay precepts, to refrain from killing, creates peace in a chaotic world. And as Venerable Children also often says, if everybody on the planet one day alone stopped killing, imagine the world that we would be in. Well, we can't, that's an imagination thing at this point. But if 25 people here have that, if 15 people come to a Sharing the Dharma Day and they walk away with that thought, and another 45 people listen to it online and they walk away with that thought, it becomes exponential. It's like multi-level marketing. You share how to develop these ways of bringing peace in a chaotic world, and it is contagious. Why? Because His Holiness tells us all the time, our fundamental nature is to be kind. How do we know that? Because humans respond to smiles. Humans respond to kindness. They recoil in the face of anger and in the face of destruction. Universally we do. For him, that's the evidence that our movement towards kindness is really our nature. And so to be able to teach that, to share that, to give that to people of all walks of life, how can that not be contributing to creating peace in a chaotic world? So when we talk about non-harming in terms of our body, we talk about non-harming in terms of not taking things that have not been freely given, well, then we don't invade countries that aren't ours. We honor the sovereignty of nations that are defined and expected by the world, right? If we if we take the precept not to engage in falsehoods, then we don't tell the world that a certain group of people are eating a certain kind of thing in a small town such that they have to close down the hospitals and the schools to protect the children because this lie is being perpetuated in the world. It's only one of the many that are being produced like this very day. So to refrain from that behavior, creating peace in a chaotic world. It goes on and on and on. But then when we start looking at the deeper, higher levels of training, when we're looking at developing equanimity, recognizing that every single being is the same as us in wishing to have happiness, avoiding suffering, brings our commonality so that we begin to train, to learn, to see that we are all alike at the core. There's no reason to separate us, none whatsoever. We learn to recognize the kindness around us, even training to see it from our enemies. That is contributing to peace in the world. And when we share that and we teach that at the Unitarian Church, we share that when we teach it at Create in Newport, we share it at when high school groups come to this place who will never maybe come to a Buddhist center again, we plant those seeds for creating peace in a chaotic world. So to me, it seems very, very clear that that is a synopsis of our mission. And I can't think of a better one. But I couldn't think of the good one in the first place. So I'm open. I'm open to people's suggestions. Um, and this is up to tomorrow. I'm taking a training online with that's been organized by or supported by a group called Faithful America. It is a Christian organization whose their slogan is "Love thy neighbor," period, no exceptions, period. This too is a group that is creating peace in their chaotic world. They're the largest online community of Christians putting faith into action for love and social justice. And Venerable Children and I too have been on their mailing list for a long time. They're organizing sessions for people to learn to integrate faith communities in the prevention of election sabotage and to effectively respond to election crises if it occurs. So they're reaching out to people who have a wish to have peace at their hearts, not from the point of view that we're the peaceful ones and the people who are wanting to sabotage the election or not that at all, but recognizing that the people who are coming from a wish to have peace and harmony in their minds have a kind of training and orientation or a worldview where fighting violence is not the solution to anything. And working with those who may have that as I would say, a wrong view, to be able to make sure that we have a peaceful transition of power, for example, in the United States election. So there's many, many, many ways to create peace in a chaotic world. And if our fundamental value is to come from a place of non-harming, and that's what we practice, that's what we train to do, even though we slip up every single day, I do every single day. But the basic fundamental ethic is there. And so I want to celebrate that that's our slogan, that creating peace in a chaotic world is our mission. We can't do it by ourselves. Not a single one of us can. Not the Abbey alone can. But the more we share the teachings, the more we practice and cultivate. No, first, the more we practice and cultivate them inside ourselves, then we actually have something to share, not just the paper it's all written on, but we actually have our own experience to be able to share with others. The more we're able to do that, the more effective that will be, the more other people will also be interested and inspired to look for whether they're working through their own faith or a humanistic view or a spirituality of some kind, I don't know, or they want to become Buddhist. It doesn't matter. That value goes forward. It creates benefit for our world. And so this is my case for keeping Sravasti Abbey, a Buddhist monastery, creating peace in a chaotic world. And nominations will be accepted. Just send them in to office.sravasti@gmail.com.